Hello, friends. Joseph here with the Healing Market. And today we are with Oran. Oran has healed himself out of IBS IBD Crohn's disease. And today I'm going to ask him a little bit about his journey and mostly what he did or did not do in order to get out of this problem. Hello, Oran.
Hello, Joseph.
Thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your knowledge. Please tell us
It's
a
a
little
pleasure.
bit about your journey.
I was 19 when I was diagnosed with Crohn disease, and I had a purinetol, which is a chemical medicine. Basically, it's a medicine for leukemia. 10 years after I got lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, it was some kind of a byproduct from the medicine.
Mhm.
And then I had 6 months of chemotherapy. I was healed from the lymphoma, but later on I had to continue to take biological medicine still to deal with my Crohn's disease. And at that point, which was after 12 or maybe 13 years to be more accurate, I had a decision that I'm going to heal myself. And if I'm going to die by my own experiments, it's okay because I prefer to die from my own experiments than from the doctor's experiments on my body and also on my soul. And fortunately, I'm here almost 13 years after. I healed. I don't have any more attacks, and I know my body and my soul now. So I know how to cure myself. I know what is triggering the disease.
This is amazing. Congratulations. Glad to
Thank
have
you.
you here.
With
Tell
pleasure,
me,
Joseph.
yeah, tell me a little bit. What is autoimmune disease? Um, how would I know if I have it, or what are the main symptoms of it?
The main symptoms we can say is that there is a huge amount of inflammation in different organs in the body. And each autoimmune disease or symptoms or syndromes, whatever you want to call it, it means you have some kind of inflammation on some specific organs. It can be on the nervous system, like in MS, for example. It can be in the digestion system, like in IBD or IBS. And also you can have it on the skin like psoriasis, but the common thing to all those symptoms is the amount of inflammation in the body. And what causes the inflammation is basically that the immune system of the bodies, you can call it attacking, but I don't like this terminology, and later on I will explain why. But it means that the immune system is attacking those some kind of organs and start to create chronic inflammation on those organs, and by the time it becomes a disease. And later on, what the pharma companies are offering basically is how would you call it, a medicine that's suppressing the immune system, but it's not really a solution because the immune system is pointing about some kind of a problem, or let's say the root cause in that organ that has to be solved. And how
Right.
it can be solved, there are many options instead of chemicals.
Before we get into the specifics of what you've done, what was the thing that triggered you from I'm done with the allopathic medicine, I'm going to try something else?
I think desperation, basically. After a month of time and a lot of suffering, and I just knew how you call it, what is the repertoire that the Western medicine can offer me. It would be different variations of the same medicines. It's the same approach, basically. This is,
Mhm.
we can say, is the problem. And when I understood that, I was really desperate. But then I understood that from the desperation, this is the best starting point I can create to myself, because I'm open to any kind of suggestion, any kind of offering, any kind of perspective. And from that point, I knew that something has got to happen, got to change. And at that time, my partner wasn't pregnant, and I had this internal understanding that there's no option for me to die now. And I think that was also one of the motors that I had, that made me take that decision and to stand behind that decision.
Very good. What was the first thing you've done when you decided to heal yourself?
A few things. First of all, I started to read a lot of books from different kind of approaches, from health, from digestive, how the digestive system works, and also about the mental aspect of humankind generally, but also about how it relates to disease. Like, in sense, what is the text, the mental text, basically the disease wants to say through the body, and this mental text is being expressed through emotions, through sensations, through pain also. And in that sense, I started to understand what the body wants to say to me. And from that point, I started to understand, so it means there are some kind of triggers. So what are the triggers? And from understanding the triggers, I started to understand what is causing the triggers on the mental aspect, on of course, on food, on diet, on supplements. And by the time I started from all this knowledge to create some kind of experiments on myself and on my body. And sometimes the body screams and say, well, this is not the direction, it's not for you. And sometimes the body just say, well, Oran, you're on the right direction, continue in that direction. And from then on, just continue more and more and more. But basically, I started to have a dialogue with my body. And this is the first path to healing. It doesn't matter how you start to do that. You just have to have a dialogue with your body.
That's fantastic. So it sounds to me like the process was an all-encompassing. It's mental, it's emotional, and obviously it's physical.
Yes,
it sounds to
me, holistic approach.
Yeah, the pain the physical pain that you've experienced and suffered led to emotional and mental pain, and from there you got a breakthrough, so to speak.
Yes, of course.
So I'm really curious. Let's dive into it. What is the first physical thing that you did or stopped doing that you noticed that improved your condition?
It's quite simple. It's gluten and it's dairy. The first
gluten and dairy.
Gluten and dairy. It's that simple. And later on, more about sugar. So we can take this imagery of cheesecake. It means that it has all those ingredients. So when I start to take off those some kind of foods, the impact was amazing. And also not only for me, but also for a lot of patients of mine now, that this is the first thing that we're doing, and they're being amazed from the results. It's really amazing. It's that simple. So this is the thing that I will start anyway. And
so you cut sugar, dairy and gluten. So all the breads and the cakes, and you cut the milks and the cheese and butter, I assume.
And a little ghee I will do recommend, but I can explain later on why. But ghee we do recommend.
And what would you say? What would a typical day, when you just started the process, what would a typical day, like in short, would look for you in terms of what would you eat through the day or drink through the day after you discovered to get rid of gluten and dairy?
I drank a lot of gut healing broth, which is a bone broth. So the bone broth has a lot of collagen and gelatin, and it's really start to wrap the intestines and start to create much more a better absorbing of the food. And on the other aspect of that, you don't have to digest it because it's liquid. So it's like a liquid food. So this is the first thing that I did put inside my body.
For how long would you do that?
Basically till today, in fact. But at the beginning, I drank a lot, and I also added to my food. For example, if I ate rice, so I add also bone broth to my rice, and also I had protein from meat or fish. But still, I add a lot of bone broth. So this is the first thing that I will open the morning with. And then later on also, when I cut off my conventional medicine, so I started to take some supplements. So I took also reishi and also agarikon and herbal mushrooms, and I took L-glutamine, which is a great amino acid also for recovering and healing the gut, and also a soup with some specific vegetables, but you have to cook it for a long time because you don't want to add the fibers, but you still want to get the minerals and the vitamin.
So
vitamins.
very, very soft on the gut to allow it to heal and to repair itself.
Absolutely, like very, very easy to digest food and healthy food, and more liquid food, and except for also for rice, because it's good for absorbing, especially if you have diarrhea, and also good supplements, and not to eat after 8 o'clock, and to sleep at least 8 hours, the minimum.
Did you find your energy levels change when you switched to this type of lifestyle?
Absolutely, and not only the energy levels, also the focus. I understood that I had a lot of brain fog, and I think this is also one aspect of energy. Not only a physical energy, but also mental energy, and I think it's a coexistence between the mental and the physical energy. And yeah, absolutely, because when you have a lower levels of inflammation in the body, suddenly you have energy, because the mitochondria, which is like you can say the voltage of the cells in your body, is much more higher. So this is why you have a better energy, and that also, maybe we can say there's energy and there's also vitality. And I think that the vitality, suddenly I discovered there's such a thing in my body that I just didn't remember since my childhood.
What did it do for you mentally and emotionally once you started to feel a little better?
First of all, I understood that I can overcome very serious things by my own intuition, and that my body is an amazing in sense that it has healing abilities. And in the Western medicine, doctors they don't talk about it. They don't talk about your body, or also say things like there's no connection in Crohn's disease between food and the Crohn's, which is, I find it as an absurd. And so what I discovered, that I have options, and before in my imagination I didn't have any options. And I think that this is what was a huge understanding for me, that I have tools, I have my intuition, and I have my own, how can you call it, I can reclaim my own body for myself, and it wasn't an option before mentally.
What about, I'm sure a lot of the viewers will have questions. I'm thinking ahead. What about fruit and vegetables? Did you eat them, or did you add them later? Some yes, some no.
Yes, I did. We can start by saying that we don't eat the nightshades vegetables. Doesn't mean
tell us what they are.
It's potato, it's eggplant, it's a tomato, and I forgot the last one. Eggplant. Tomato, peppers and potatoes.
Peppers.
Okay. Yes, and
why are those? Why should you avoid these?
They just have it has toxins, basically.
Toxins.
We can go into that, but it's not that important. Just put it, just put it aside. That you don't.
They don't help. They make it worse.
No, and I can say that they create more acidity in the digestive system and in the stomach. So basically, this is the reason.
And what kind of fruit and vegetable you say would help your situation and help healing an inflamed?
Well, papaya is an amazing fruit, because it has a lot of digestive enzymes like papain, and not only the fruit itself, also but the seeds. You can eat it. There's the hard part, you can chew it out, but there's like some kind of a crust over the seed, and you can chew it, and this part has the enzymes, basically the papain enzymes. This is an amazing fruit. Banana is also good, though it has a lot of sugar, but it's good for, it has a very good fibers that are easy to digest, and it's very, very important. And also apples and pears, but you have to peel those fruits. Um,
Why is that?
Sorry?
Why do you have to peel the apples and the pears?
Because of the fibers.
I see. So you
Like
want
it's something
soft,
that you can,
soft.
exactly.
Right.
Later on, you can add them, or sometimes you can, and if you have an acute a situation, so you can peel them and also to put them in the oven. Like you
Right.
want to make it very, very simple to digest, so that the stomach and the digestion system doesn't have to make an effort for food. It has to rest, basically.
I see. What about meats? Did you eat any meats, and if so, what kind?
Absolutely, because I was vegetarian for a time, and I understood this is a mistake, and I moved only to almost a paleo some kind of diet. But it's an approach. It's not only a diet, and of course I
Right.
add chicken, though I do not recommend it so much because it has an omega-6 fatty acids, which is creating a little bit of inflammation. You want to have, for example, like omega-3, like you have in fish. So I had fish, I had beef. It's very important that it will be grass-fed beef.
Grass-fed, yeah.
And how you call it, turkey. Not chicken, but turkey is better.
Turkey.
But it has to be organic. It's a must.
Right.
And also
turkey,
eggs.
Right, because you ate eggs.
Yeah, there are different approaches in the autoimmunity protocols from different people. Some of them do recommend eggs and some do not. I'm part of the school that do recommend, because I just felt that it's good for my body. And I think this is the most important aspect, by the way. What is good for your body?
Absolutely. I have to tell you, both you and I follow the medical medium. I know that.
Yes.
And Anthony William, and he speaks against eggs. And I've tried eggs and also tried duck eggs, because I read somewhere that regular chicken eggs are more acidic, although I get them from the farm, and they're real free-run eggs. And I found that they did not do well for me. So I guess it's individual. For me, eggs don't work very well.
Also, the duck eggs didn't work?
Yeah. No, but, well, I felt very heavy, and after maybe I had too many, but felt very heavy. And the same for me with chicken. And I was a vegan and vegetarian for 8 years or so. And it worked for me for a while. And after a while, I was getting anemic and weak. And I went back on grass-fed beef and lamb, and it worked very well for me. And I think it's okay for the environment, because I go to the farm and they raise properly, and you don't really need that much. But I would not buy processed meat. I would not buy any meat at the supermarket. I pick and choose my proteins very carefully. I think that makes a lot of difference.
Sorry for interrupt, but in IBD you do need a lot of protein for healing the gut, at least at the beginning, because you need a lot of protein, so the gut will start to heal all those holes from the inflammation.
Let's say someone is sitting here and watching this video, and they go, "Oh my God, I got this condition too, and I've tried all the medicine and it didn't work for me." What would you say to them? And obviously, in the programs that we offer, we go into much detail, both individual programs and group programs. But just for the sake of this short interview, what would you kind of give? And everyone's different, so. But what would you say you need? Everyone's different. But what would you say you would require to go on a bone broth with a bit of rice, right? I got that. First, you just do bone broth with the rice.
Only white basmati rice and bone broth.
Basmati, you said, yeah?
Yes, and protein.
For how long?
It depends how you feel. I think this is part of how you open the antenna in some kind of a way to open the amplifier for the frequency of your body.
Right.
If you're being mentored, so it's easier. And yes, I will recommend all those. I recommend some kind of supplements like the collagen and the reishi and agarikon. and
Yeah.
also the L-glutamine.
Right.
And yes, I think you can start with those basically. And another aspect that we didn't talk about yet is that when you need to make some psychophysic action, like in a form of a movement,
Mhm.
but I believe it has to be some kind of movement that has to be on the ground, because you have to take some how you can say of the energy or the some kind of electricity in your body that creates inflammation.
Right.
So you need grounding basically,
Right.
and then you can do yoga or qigong, which is very very helpful, or Ilan Lev, that is a great method that personally I became a therapist and really helped me. And yeah, I think you can start from those steps, and of course to take off the dairy, the gluten, and the sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like dessert.
Yes.
Um, I actually personally I kind of stopped all the processed sweets long ago.
Hmm.
Even recently, I visited the family and they offered me some cake. I just couldn't eat it. I found for myself the best dessert I like is watermelon and
Uh-huh.
grapes. But what would you think is a good option? And maybe some maple syrup, because we're in Canada. Um, what what would you think? Or what would you recommend as a sweet that is okay to consume? Maybe not at the beginning, but later on. I want some sweets. What kind of sweets could I use that would not hurt me or aggravate? Bring the condition back.
Yeah, maybe I will start with some almond paste, because it's
Hmm.
a bit oily and it's sweet and it's quite easy to digest. And of course, you can add it with some kind of fruit. But again, if you will peel the fruits or even to put them in the oven, like for example, you can take an apple and to put it in the oven, to add a little bit of nutmeg and also some almond paste, and it's a
Right.
very nice dessert. And sometimes in a better condition, you can even take a date, and it's nice. Um, yeah, but I wouldn't go to really like how you call to say it like really a dessert, not yet, because it's quite heavy on the digestion system. Though
Right.
you want the sugar, but another aspect I would like to add maybe a little bit is in the process the gut biome, the I would say the ecosystem of bacteria and fungus that you have in your digestion system. So it changes in the process, and later on, when the gut biome changes, you don't have those craves anymore.
Right.
That suddenly you don't understand what changed, because before you just had to have this kind of rush of sugar, you're going to faint, or just being tired, or
Yeah.
brain
Yeah.
fog,
Yeah.
you have to concentrate, and it just changes in an immediate way. So then something in your perception of desserts, you don't need it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned not eat after 8 p.m.
Yes.
When would you have your first meal of the day? The next morning. What time?
Well, it's a tricky question for IBD, because
Uh-huh.
sometimes in the morning you have a very acidic situation in your stomach,
Hmm.
and in IBD sometimes it depends on the situation. You do need to eat in the morning, but if you're not in acute situation, so it would be better if you start to eat your lunch around 12 or even 1 at
And
noon.
skip the breakfast.
Yes, you want to have some kind of 16 hours that the digestion system, sorry, is resting from digesting.
Right.
And then you want to have 8 hours that basically those are the hours that you're eating your food,
The
including
window of
supper.
eating.
Yeah, yeah, you can call it that way. And
Hmm.
this is the best way, because in those 16 hours between the sleeping time and also in the morning, it's the best time for the body to heal itself.
Right.
Because in lunch usually, so you have all the stomach is much more acid, because this is the best time, like the sun, to eat the food. This is not the time you want to have an empty stomach. This is why in this hour you're feeling that your stomach is hurt a little bit because it needs food to digest. This is the best hour. And on the contrary, at the evening, you don't supposed to eat. This is why a lot of one of the triggers for autoimmunity in general, and of course that IBD, is that people are eating at night.
Right.
Because when you're eating at night and the digestion system is digesting food, the food in the stomach becomes it creates toxins in the body. The food, it can be a great organic food, blah blah blah, but it becomes toxins. It only depends on the hour.
Right. And the cravings will go away.
Yes, because the gut biome changes.
Right.
It's
Now,
that simple.
what about water? A lot of people say drink lots. I tell my people drink water in the morning, some lemon water, and obviously because I don't have a gut biome problem, but I do intermittent fast. So I only do water and coffee in the morning until noon or 1 or 2. Would you? And coffee is known to be quite acidic, especially if it's brewed coffee. So my guess is you would probably say to avoid coffee, at least at the beginning.
Yes, at least at the beginning, but they do recommend the green tea, but really the leaves, not something in a tea bag or something more commercial, really the leaves, to go to some kind of a Chinatown to find a really good brand organic of green tea, which is great, especially if it takes the combination between reishi mushroom and green tea together. It's a great combination specifically. And you can make some kind of like the bulletproof coffee, but you can create it with the green tea, because it's good to add some good fats to your diet in general. But also, if you do it in the morning, you're still keeping those eating windows, let's say. But it's not a breakfast, but also the stomach is not acid.
While you're on the process of healing, and after which, let's say I had some lunch and I'm working and my energy levels are good, but I like a little snack. What would you suggest I would have for a snack?
First of all, you can have fruits. Another thing you can have is like some kind of a shake that you can take with you. Some kind of you can add some collagen, for example, and you can add some. There are a lot of brands. We can talk about it a little bit more. A lot of brands of companies that do have a lot of good formulas for that. And as we said, fruits. And also another question: do you really need a snack? Who is talking when you need a snack? And I think this is my best answer. And sometimes you do need a snack, and it's okay. But who's really controlling the gut biome? You or the gut biome controlling you?
Right. And that is really why with the healing market, we promote communities around shared topics and interests. So if you want to be stronger and gain muscle, there's a community for that. And if you want to heal your gut biome, there's a community for that. And I think it's a lot easier when you do it in a group, because sometimes you live by yourself, or the other people live with you, or the family member are okay. So it's hard to do it on your own. But if you have a support group and also maybe a bit of competition, it makes it more. It makes it more fun.
Yeah, it's a game. And also from the experience of other people, like I learn from them, from my own patients. Sometimes they give me recipes or ideas that I didn't think about, and it's amazing, because it's like an open source. Suddenly, it's not that you are the master of the method and etc. Like I giving people tools, and then they start to experiment and to play with that, and they give me great feedbacks.
Right. When we spoke the other day, you told me something that I never knew, and it blew me away. And that was that the gut biome regenerates itself every so many days, right?
Yes, you can say that if we have like a generation in humanity, which basically a generation is being considered as 30 years, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
So if I'm right, so on the gut biome, like the bacteria in your gut, it changes as a generation. It's been considered as in 20 days.
20
So it
days.
means like an evolution for humanity, which is being considered 18,000 years, I think. So if
Mhm.
I'm right on the math, don't get me wrong. But then it means that in gut biome, it means that something like you can have an evolution in 10 days in your gut
Right.
biome, which is amazing.
So in 10 days, you should be feeling a lot better.
Yeah, you can think about what is the what was the process in 18,000 years of evolution of humanity, and imagine this is what happens to your gut biome in 10 days. Because
Unbelievable.
a generation in the gut biome is 20 minutes.
Right. I
It's
see.
amazing. So this is why in 10 days it's like it's equal to 18,000 years in
So in
evolution.
20 minutes, that means 3 generations per hour times
Yes.
24, 72 generations per day. So 10 days,
Maybe this
750 generations,
you
20
you
days,
better me
2,000,
you're better
2,000
you're better
generations.
yeah, you're better than me in math, and I hope that I'm not sure that I'm really precise
Yeah,
on the data, but still it's something around that. But what is more important is to understand it's really 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 good news. This is what is
right.
more important, that you can really change it in a very simple tools in not such a long time, and it can really change your life by all aspects. It's quite amazing because it's an ecosystem, all the gut biome, all the bacteria in your body. For example, the most important thing to understand is that without the bacteria in your gut, you're not able to digest food.
Right,
Like all the fibers, it's only the bacteria. Like without the bacteria, you wouldn't be able to do anything.
right.
You're hosting something, and it helps you.
That's
This is
amazing.
the yeah. It's really magic, huh? And we
And
didn't
it's
talk
very, it's
about
very positive.
how
It gives a lot
we
of
didn't
hope.
talk about that, how it influences also your mental state,
Right.
the gut biome.
Absolutely. I can,
Yeah.
well, I can imagine if, and I've been through periods of my life where I was not feeling good physically, obviously emotionally, mentally, like it sucks.
Yeah, but mental state is a physical thing. That's what I want to say. And this
That's
is
right.
why they in science they understand more and more the connection between the digestive system and the brain, and also that a depression, it means that you have some kind of inflammation in your brain. And you always have inflammation in your brain if you have inflammation in the digestive system.
Right. So you will feel better. I must say that, if it takes 3 or 4 weeks, or 21 days, 28 days, right?
Mhm.
You're probably gonna a side effect, which is excellent, is you're probably gonna lose some weight.
Absolutely, it's part of that. In a lot of experiments in fecal transplants that they took from thin people and transplanted into fat people, suddenly the fat people started to become thin, and they didn't change their diet.
Right.
This
So
is
it's
it's a
it's a
crazy proof.
lifestyle. It's a
Yeah,
lifestyle. It's an understanding.
yeah, and again, if you can change it by your life habits and by your nutrition, etc., of course you can lose weight. But again, you will lose weight because you are healthy, not because you're starving yourself.
Yeah, your body will optimize itself to what it
Absolutely.
naturally meant to be.
Absolutely. So it's not
That's
about
fantastic.
to look good from the outside, but inside you're feeling bad, and you're hungry, and you're depressed a lot of time, like when you see in anorexia, etc. Like it's something that your body is in full in high performance by all the aspect of that, and because of that, you will not have bloating, you will lose your weight, you will be lighter, you will really be happier because your gut biome changed, and then you will see that your action starts to change as well, because you know what is good for you. And this is why you don't you when you see the Snickers bar, you will just look at it and say, well, why did they put this shit, sorry for my language, inside my body. Why? It's a crap. And
Right.
it's because something in your gut biome changed. And before, the gut biome told you you want to add some kind of Snickers, because if you didn't eat these Snickers, a lot of toxins will start to go out, because this is the gut biome is doing to you. It punishes you. But
Right.
then you're in a vicious cycle that you want to break.
So it probably takes a few days of like fighting this, or getting used to when the gut readjusts itself, if I can say that.
Yeah, there can be a lot of symptoms, from diarrhea or to headaches, or sometimes even nausea. But basically, the reason for that there are a lot of toxins are going out from your body.
And
So
maybe
it's like a
that's why.
cleansing. Yeah, it's
Sorry,
like
go
a
ahead.
cleansing process.
I see. And maybe that's why the doing this in a group or guided with an expert like yourself works, because, oh, I'm going to stop doing this. I watched that YouTube video with these two guys and I had the bone marrow soup, but it's like, nah. No, but if you have a support group, it's probably
Yeah,
a lot better. Oran, that was absolutely fantastic. I learned so much, and we're going to share some links for individual and group programs below, and for more information. I want to thank you very much for your time and for sharing your personal story with us and
pleasure.
all the amazing health tips. And I want to remind everyone, life's a journey. It takes some time. Get up on the horse. If you fell off, it's totally good. And we have to remember that doing this together in a group or with a guide is probably a lot easier, especially because just now you mentioned that you may get weak or this or that, but really it's the toxins live in the body. And when you do it with a group of people, it's not such a big deal, because you have a commitment and you have a little bit of competition gamifying this process. So thank you so much.
With pleasure. And put your eyes on the prize.
Absolutely. Remember what you're here for. Remember your why.
Yeah. Yes,
Thank you, Oran.
absolutely. Thank you, Joseph. Bye-bye.